Well, the Australian Business Growth Fund has revealed its first investment for 2022 in the enterprise software company Capsifi. The company offers a centralised business architecture platform, and to tell us more both about the investment and the startup itself, we're joined by the co-head of investment at the fund, Ghazaleh Lyari, and Capsifi CEO, Dr. Terry Roach. Welcome to the pair of you. This is an exciting moment because I remember when the Prime Minister announced this all the way back, I think it was initially in 2019, and then a year down the track, the banks came in, the feds kicked in $100 million, and the big four $100 million each, with I think Macquarie and HSBC putting in 20 million. So you're more than halfway onto $1 billion fund. Just tell us a little bit about the SMEs you want to back, because I know you're looking for about 30 to 50 companies a year to support.
A little less than that, 10 companies a year.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, but it's still a lot more than what your typical kind of PE funds would do. So we are a high volume investment fund. In terms of the ideal profile of the businesses that we look at, there's businesses very much like Capsifi. So they're small businesses that have a track record of profitability, or in the case of high growth businesses or tech businesses, you have visibility into break-even and profitability in the near term. And this would be businesses with a proven business model, businesses that have established customer base, and they have a unique value proposition that's pretty distinctly clear in the competitive landscape. Again, Capsifi ticks all those boxes. It's an Australian software business that is very unique in terms of the value propositions that they provide in the competitive landscape. They were listed as in the leader quadrant by Gartner, which is an internationally renowned research firm. Yes, so the companies that we're looking at also would be companies that would be requiring primarily minority shareholders. So that's one of the distinct things about the fund as well. So, yeah.
So Trevor, tell us the story. How did you come down this path and become one of the initial investments from the fund?
Well, like most overnight success stories, it takes about 10 years. We've been on the journey for a while. It came out of academic research from UNSW, which we've subsequently turned into a product. We've struggled through those early years of getting our product market fit. We bootstrapped the business in the early days, incubated by Service New South Wales for a good part of that. We got some some angel investment 3 years ago to see us through and that's got us basically through the COVID times. We got to pretty much break-even point during then, and we're right now ready to scale up, and came across the great option that we did with ABGF.
Well, we are seeing a wide range of opportunities, and of course we were just talking to Bidfin a little bit earlier, which is offering another solution. Of course there is debt equity, there is venture capital. Why was this the right fit for your startup?
Yeah, look, we did look at various options. We went through, all the way from traditional bank loans through to VCs, private equity, and other options, debt equity. So what the ABGF offers is just so unique. It's something that I think every founder would just dream of. It's that patient capital without the pressures of that you would get with a venture capitalist, for example. That's backing us as an Australian innovation. There's just so much support, and as we got to know the ABGF team, we were really impressed with how they really have invested in understanding as much about our business as we know. We've got now, we feel like we've got an extension of our own team helping us and really interested in our success. And we're, they're a minority investor. They always will be. We maintain our own. It's not a very dilutive investment for a founder, which is a great outcome for us. And just a solid partner, very prestigious for us to be associated with ABGF.
Now, before I talk to Ghazaleh a little bit more about the fund, tell us about the plans for the capital.
Yeah, so obviously the last 3 years have been difficult ones, I'd say, for any Australian company looking at global expansion. It's not been a very easy time to do that. We actually did the opposite. We had great plans for expansion 3 years ago. We hunkered down. We focused on profitability. We've brought ourselves to break-even point. We reduced our staff, and we built the product up and got ourselves some pretty good recognition in our space. And we're now ready to scale. So the whole point of the investment is to help us grow our business internationally. We've got some great international customers already, but we've got a very small presence in terms of our own staff. So there's a good part of that is building up a sales machine, a marketing machine, and also some investments further into the quality of the product itself.
Now, Ghazaleh, you've set the benchmark with Capsifi.
Yes.
What sort of companies do you want to talk to? Where are they on their journey, and how do they come knocking on your door?
Sure. So the companies that would love to talk to are companies that are going through a really high growth phase. They need growth capital to kind of take them to the next phase of scale. And we basically provide the growth capital, we provide expertise in terms of what it takes to actually go through the growing pains and putting an infrastructure together to support that growth. And that would include bringing in, rounding out the management capabilities. So we would really work closely with the management team, with the existing team, to figure out where the capabilities gaps are, and we get actively involved in identifying suitable kind of partners to bring on board as additional executives. So it's really important. There are two things that are really important about the businesses that we will look for. As I said, companies that are already established like Capsifi, so they have a proven business model. So they're not kind of pivoting from one product to another to kind of figure out where they want to be. Companies that have an established customer base and have a tremendous growth potential, they need that capital, non-dilutive capital, to get them to the next phase of growth, and partners that are quite experienced. So all of us, even though this is a relatively new fund, we've only been around for about a year, but the senior members of the investment team have been doing this for decades. So we consider ourselves active investors who are experienced in growth businesses.
I think you kind of just answered it then in terms of sort of setting up the C-suite so the right people are in place.
Yep.
But the relationship you have is not just about hitting send on the transfer of funds. You're actively engaged with the growth of the business along the way. What other support do you bring to companies that they should think about in terms of talking about the fund?
So in terms of, you mean post-investment?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can give you an example about a couple of the investments that we've been involved with. One is a high growth roll-up business. And after we put in the equity, they were quite interested in basically tapping into the debt market, and we were very much involved in helping them think through that in terms of what options that are available, even though we don't provide financial advice to our businesses, but we have extensive amount of experience in capital markets, both equity and debt. So we were instrumental in that business securing a significant amount of debt that will in turn position them to acquire more businesses. The other kind of advice that we can provide, I think the talent capabilities that we have is a really important one. One of our colleagues in the leadership team, Fred Charette, is the head of our talents and capabilities team, and he really works closely with the management team. Terry just came back from a meeting with Fred right now this morning in identifying what kind of organization structure the business needs to achieve the kind of growth that they need. So we actually sit down and spend hours working with the executive team, planning for those types of requirements to position them well for the growth.
So in terms of that growth story and that acceleration, I assume it is that point, especially for Australian companies, where they're just looking to hit overseas markets and really explode in that growth. Is that the sweet spot that they should come and talk to?
Yeah, so international growth could be an absolute good reason for it. And again, Capsifi is a prime example of it, that they already had international customers, but they're trying to rapidly expand into that. It could be international expansion. It could be businesses that are only present in one state and they want to have a national presence. There is another one in our pipeline that we're working with right now with that characteristic. It could be businesses that need money to acquire other businesses, to grow through consolidation, not just organic growth. So it could be a myriad of different reasons. If growth is part of their plan, we could provide a really attractive solution for them.
So from memory, I think when the Prime Minister announced it a few years ago, he was talking about sort of that high growth area. From a taxpayer point of view, what return on investment are we getting from the investments that you're making in small business? Is it the jobs? Is it other things as well? Hopefully
there'll be a really attractive return on investment for everyone's sake. But so we do have, like every other fund, we're an independent commercial entity with shareholders like the federal government and the 4 major banks. We have a hurdle return rate that is expected of us to be considered a viable financially viable fund. And hopefully we're all aiming to kind of hit that hurdle rate and well be above that. But so that's one of the advantages of it. Obviously, from a taxpayer's perspective, there will be financial return, hopefully, from the fund. But I think the key advantages of the Australian Business Growth Fund comes down to the points that are not direct financial points. It would be job creation. It would be, like in the case of Terry, the capital that we're investing is going to support a threefold increase in the employee base. So that would be most of them Aussie jobs that would be created for the case of Capsifi. And it would be situations where we're bolstering R&D activity in the country. There are a lot of the money that's going into this business that would be to basically focus on further investment in R&D. And generally just fostering economic activity in the SME sector. So these are, don't forget that this is a sector of the market that ABGF is focusing on that has traditionally been underserved, because the major buyout funds are not interested in writing a check for $10-15 million. The VCs are interested in, really super high growth with $1 trillion kind of market kind of opportunities. So there's a whole tens of thousands of good businesses like Capsifi that are in that gap of the market that ABGF can really attractively address and help.
I think I've got it now, Terry, but I'm going to give the last word to you. What would you say to other founders in terms of talking to ABGF and sort of getting involved with that option for capital?
Look, I couldn't recommend it more. I think if you're fortunate enough to pass the bar and become part of the ABGF family, you'll find not only an excellent opportunity to fund your business, but a tremendous partner and a lovely group of people to work with. We just couldn't be happier with where we've landed. Well,
Dr. Terry Roach from Capsifi, great to have you in. Ghazaleh, thank you for coming in too from the fund. Look forward to hearing more of these stories, because of course the great thing about this is you get great growth stories for Australian companies along the way. Thank you both for your time.
Thank you.